thil sim cheng sikap le mauta tui bigin nongun a kap e pan pingai cha do hina din thil sim cheng sin hang samu oh angai yui tu san pi zi e cha te na chong na na mun a ho zing su kan te de le tu le den u hing na nga yui tu
Almost a pen in the bone, Chavin Kapa. A very good morning to one and all. And I, on behalf of the organizing committee, welcome you all on this workshop program on rethinking and questioning the future of Manipur. We have on the dais Dr. T. Hang Sung as social activist, and on Pau Hokip, Senior All Tribal Student Union Manipur leader and advisor KSO and a social activist. And I am DJ Hokip, presently the incumbent Joint Secretary of KSO Churchanpur and founder of one NGO called Miles of Smiles. It's been an honor to be here. And going back to the topic, rethinking and questioning the future of Manipur. So much of talks, so much of current dispensation, and all this we are coming here to have a brainstorming session on all the current issues, how Manipur came into being, who first quote the very term Manipur, and what is Manipur exactly, and what constitutes Manipur, and what is this Manipur basically, and our way forward. So I would also like to introduce Pu Sri Nobo Kishore, Secretary, United NGOs Manipur, who just has read August gathering. And with these few words, I would like to encourage each and every one of you to hold steadfast, to give the utmost cooperation you can give to every lecture is being rendered here, and also please prepare for the discussion hour, which will be very meaningful one. And coming together is the beginning. And today we live in a state of Manipur wherein there is no single platform which is binding the Hill Valley people together. At the least, we have this United NGOs Manipur, So we have to take this opportunity, to insert our aspirations, our thoughts, and our way forward to bring about a unified, or say a collective Manipur wherein all communities feel belong to, wherein all communities have the intention or have the motive of belongingness, and it is with you all's cooperation that this workshop can become a meaningful. Thank you. And then moving on, I would like to call Pu Manglin Lal Hokip, Secretary, the Good Samaritan Foundation, for a welcome and keynote address.
Good morning, everyone. I am Manglin Lal Hokip. I am currently the Secretary of Good Samaritan Foundation. I'm a opinion English kathona ita English bo thwa du e pon na tunya he whichever language you're comfortable naman thiaw hek ti cho can clarify masat no ma in first of all I would like to welcome the respected facilitators, namely Dr. T. Hong Sing, social activist. Sir, can you please kindly stand up once? Next, Sir Sri Nobukishore, Secretary, UNM Manipur. Amani hi tunya denga facilitator hijing in amanya ko na hi learn thechan learn ki go hitin bol thechan e bol du tunya hi discussion hi athupi zo hin amani an se ko na hi on future ipi igelbam way forward to ipi igel du ham ipiti panila du ham ti pa chu poimo a hin amani se cha poimo poi katina he pon jong le on input ipi pau discussion ibol pau hi hong poimo ding he ti chu a hin. And with that note, I would like to encourage everyone to participate, and let us practice active listening, and also let us make this a two-way conversation katino me na tuni discussion no hi chu hintin chai chana lunglut ta pangligan ong pangjaw si ka hin request in ka hin time and chanchu trante ka chipai. Thank you.
Thank you, Manglin Lal, Secretary, Good Samaritan Foundation, for the keynote address. Moving on, I would like to call Pu Sri Nobukishore, Secretary, United NGOs Mission, Manipur, to take the dais. Before that, I would also request the organizers to take a small presentation. Please, beyond the dais. We anticipate Pu Nobukishore, Secretary, United NGOs Mission, Manipur, to take the dais, and I request all the audience to give your utmost cooperation, and wherein after the session we'll have a discussion hour.
First of all, I would like to apologize for my delay. Please forgive me, because one sister-in-law is sick, so I just stay for a few minutes, then it took some time. And I thank you all the respected leaders in Churachandpur, from the student unions and the cookie chief, religious leader, as well as community leaders, NGO leaders, social activists, academics, so on and so forth. UNNM started this small campaign named Questioning the Future of Manipur. Yes, the idea of Manipur is, a lot of questions coming from different communities and then different ethnicities who are having different ideas and knowledge. But today, officially, we are known that we are from Manipur. So my explanation is that it is not about a particular community which we are meant. This is the whole community, more than 40 ethnic communities living in Manipur, is facing serious crisis of survival, identity, and economic crisis, social, cultural, and racial discrimination, so and so forth. But in the coming 20 or 50 years' time, we are going to have more serious problems if we don't work today. But how to deal this? This crisis will not leave anyone. All of us will, in a way or others, will be the victim of this crisis. One may not be imagine what kind of crisis will come, but this is not the first time we are going to have a debate. So we will have a series of debate to come over or to deal this crisis in the future. We came here for this campaign, for this discussion, just for the next generation who are going to take over the responsibility of our society, your society, my society, his society or our society in the years to come. We don't want our future generation to suffer like us because of violent conflict, because of discrimination, because of very weak administrations, and because of the political conflicts what we are having, then ethnic conflicts, identity politics, so and so forth. That's how we came here, and we wanted to have the discussion on this. Now we all see in this recent year new dimension of conflict. That is, we experienced in Myanmar, right? In 2001, February, military coup happened. And then you see, as a neighboring state, Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, we have to unofficially see the kind of migrations taking place in that, and people are suffering. Same time, Mizoram is also having this problem. Then, since beginning of this year, there is a war by the Russia to Ukraine, right? And United States is supporting Ukraine, and Russia is fighting on this. So this is the two superpower fighting, and then Ukraine become a victims of this. And the war is creating some kind of grouping of different countries in this. And this impact is always, and this is also happened in Ethiopia for the last few years. Fightings are going on, so and so forth. Now the war, the political conflict in Myanmar, we see how much amount of drugs are coming in our state. Manipur, 30 years back or 40 years back, this was a transit route for drug smuggling, right? And then about for the last 20 years, Manipur become a destination of drug and consumption of drug, right? I think in every 3 families in Manipur, you can find 1 or 2 drug addicts. That means all our children's, young peoples are suffered from the drugs. And we are not able to overcome from this crisis. This is happening. And the government of India is asking to Manipur government that every week they have to give a report to government of India about the seizure or arrest of drugs. Government is trying very hard to take over. Now, for the last about 10 years, or more than 10 years, Manipur become a production of drugs. I think there is a three phase. One was the transit, then second was a destination consumption, then now we are producing. And once drug is there, drug will remain. It will not go. But the scale of using drug may increase or decrease from time to time, but it will remain. So this is the experience in Colombia, in different countries is happening. What is the next problem? There is a huge arms, unofficial arms. Guns are coming to Manipur. This is made in Austria, this is made in different countries, in Australia, so and so forth. These arms are proliferating in every community. Everybody has arms. So in the late evening, when it becomes dark, when you move out, if some young boys, 3, 4 in a car, when they move and when they drive something wrong, if we shout at them, these children just take out the guns, right? So this is the uncontrolled arms which is happening. That means to have a gun is not a problem, but they should have a discipline to use the gun. And if we don't have a discipline, then this will create a lot of problems. And many people thought that I have a gun, I have a power. It's not that we also cannot buy a gun. It's not that I do not know how to shoot. I mean, we also know how to shoot. But using guns should be with a discipline. So this is going to be committed by our young children, young boys, young people, who are allowed by their parents to use the guns. Right? In this year, in the beginning of this year, there were about 70 cases of violence recorded from the newspaper in Manipur. 7 people were killed, more than 47 people were injured. They were shot. They were shooting at the home of many people without knowing the reasons. Many people were kidnapped, beaten up, tortured, harassed. So how we are going to survive now? Even we are at home, we do not know whether we will survive or not. Somebody come, they will shoot. I mean, recently, some few weeks back, you see one village chief or somebody in Cycle area, he was called out and he was shot. Killed. And some are injured. Now, proliferation of arms in our communities, then using drugs. Who is allowing us, our children, to use these arms? And what is our responsibility to be a responsible person to protect our children or young people from this crime is one thing we need to look at in this kind of situation. And the many, including the many civil society organizations and the NGOs are not left. We were tortured, right? Our accounts are frozen. They shot in our office. They put the bombs, right? They shot to our children. And how to handle this kind of things. Recently, a group of people came in Thangweibal area, and some staff of, they said, the child line or some NGOs were beaten up. And then who will do all this kind of responsibility of taking care of the children who are in the difficult situation? And this is coming. Now next will be, they may attack to the community leaders. They may attack the religious leader. They may attack the teachers. Many children may bring the arms in the school. If teacher shout to the students for their wrong behaviors, the children may shoot to the teacher. So how these things are developing and how we are going to handle this? Many police security forces in the civil dress, in the civil car, they are traveling with the arms. And they are targeted many people. They pull down from the vehicles, beaten up, and they said, we are the escort of ex-MLAs like Prithviraj from Moirang, right? I am the escort of this candidate. So I belong to this communities, like that. And how these boys are moving with the arm, 10 of them were having the arms. All the boys who are in the vehicles, they were all having the guns. Then how we can move around? This is happening. And about a month back again, a group of armed young people came in a house. They looted all the golds, money and everything from the house. One day this will happen to us, to your family. If you have some money in your family, if they know how many monies are there in a bank account, they will kidnap you. They will come to the home on the gunpoint. They will beat you and then take away everything. We never expect this earlier, but this start happening. And our economy was completely gone in a difficult situation during the lockdown, during the pandemic, corona pandemic. Some people earned a lot of money, but almost all the people suffer very badly economically. So very desperate boys from the poor families will do whatever they want just to get some money. And this, we need to create awareness in our communities. And otherwise, our children will be spoiled. Those who are committing crime, carrying the unofficial arms with them, and the children below 20 years or 18 years carrying the arms, using the arms, this is a crime. They will be arrested one day. Any police or security forces moving in the civil dress, moving in the private car, and threatening civilian, beating up, is a crime. They will be arrested one day. They thought that they have the gun, they are protected by their bosses. No, boss cannot protect them. They will be arrested. This has happened when they kill more than 1,500 civilians under the Armed Forces Special Power Act. Now the case is going on in Supreme Court. CBI is investigating the case. Charge sheets are submitted. Then what to do? Many of them were suspended. And recently in Nagaland, 14 people were killed, right? Now charge sheet has been submitted against the 30 number of Indian Army, special paramilitary, 21 paramilitary forces of that, including one major. They will be under trial. That means they cannot misuse their power. We are civilians. They are there to protect us, not to kill us. They are there to protect us, not to rape our sisters and mothers and all. So they are charged now, and then they will be under trial, and if these are all proof, they have to spend their life in the jail. That has to be recognized by all of them. Because they are recruited, they receive their salary. Just protect the civilian, protect the nation. And they start killing us, civilians. Then we cannot be silent. And their salaries are paid from our taxes. We pay the tax just to protect us. But if they cannot protect us, then we need to question why they cannot protect us. During the last election, many people start using AK-47. Earlier they are using the revolver. Now they start using the AK-47. Then after a few years, if they have money, they will use the sniper. They will not come down to the polling booth. They will attack from the top of the mountain. And this has happened in Bosnia. Don't think that it will not happen. It's a very, very serious crisis. And why these people are allowed to move with these guns? Don't we have any security forces to check? So we need to demand to our authorities, to our leaders, our communities should be free from all the arms. We also need to request to all the armed groups to control their arms. They have to count it, because using arms responsibly as well as with certain guidelines. And arms cannot be used as and when I require. It needs a discipline to do it. So I would like to put this thing forward for all of us, especially the church leaders. I request this need to be one part of educations, or include in the prayer in the church, or in the temples, in the mosques, or in other religious institutions. And many schools and colleges also need to train many young people that we should not use the arms, right? They thought that they have arms, they are powerful. Using arms and attack the civilians, this is a crime. One day they will be under serious crisis. They thought that they can do it, but it will be a problem. I know many officers, right? See, about 20 years back, there was one child was killed. He was a Muslim in Imphal West. His name is Azad Khan. It was killed by a troop of Assam Rifles and police commandos. 36 of them came in 3 of our vehicles, and the child was pulled out from his house. Parents were locked inside the house, and then he took out, and in the field he was shot and killed. At the time, that Assam Rifle was a major. Now he is a colonel. Right? When the hearing took place by the Supreme Court in Imphal, he refused to come. He said, I will attend hearing of the court, but not in Manipur. He was afraid to come. You see, he was very brave army. just to face the Supreme Court hearing, he afraid to come to Manipur now. Then hearing was shifted to Delhi. Then he was continuously refused to come. Then finally, court ordered, you need to come. This will be the last chance. Then he has to flee from southern Sudan to Delhi to attend the hearing. So when the court asked the question that you are a criminal, you are involved in killing a child, then all his reputations, power, everything gone. So what I am stating is that anybody who are misusing the power, misusing the arms, misusing the law, then they will be landed in that kind of situation. So therefore, we all need to rethink now what we need to do it. And we need to question something wrong. So my dear friends, brothers and sisters, and our children, who will save Manipur? Nobody will come to save us. No one from Europe, America, Canada will not save us. We have to do it. If we don't do it, nobody will do. If we are keep on having the problems among ourselves, this problem will never solve. Right? Protection for all of us. Now we are under India. The protection for all of us under the Constitution of India, the Government of India and Government of Manipur has the responsibility to protect us. Under the Article 21, we all know, right to life and dignified, we have to be protected by the Constitution of India. I think we all remember Irom Sarmila, who fasted for 16 years to repeal Armed Forces Special Power Act. When she starts fasting, if she is not taking anything, she will die. Then police arrest. No, you cannot die. You are protected under the Constitution of India. Right? She was force-fed for 16 years. I am just telling this a unique example that even I wanted to kill myself. No, Constitution is not allowed. Nobody can kill anybody. I cannot kill myself under the Constitution of India. And we have to be protected. And then on the other hand, many young people having the drugs, carrying the arms, shooting whatever they want, then this cannot be controlled. That means the Constitution of India is having difficulties to protect us. Then we need to ask the question, why? We have to be protected. So I will not take much time. Please, just this is a small, short examples I am giving to all of us. I think there may be many scholars, many more knowledgeable person in the group, and young students, college or universities. Please think over about this. Even we don't have right to vote now, right? I wanted to fight the election, for example. In many cases, some powerful person said, no, you cannot stand the election. I will shoot you. If you are not giving vote to me, I will shoot you. When someone went to the polling booth, his vote is already casted. And then nobody is allowed to come to cast the vote. That is happening rampantly in different parts of Manipur. That is happening in Imphal also. They're beaten up. So now, as a person, as a voter, we all also need to have our responsibility not to demand any money from the candidates. They are going to be our representative, and if they spend more money in the election, definitely they will not be in a position to provide you what is there in the government. Will not get it. I don't like to speak like this, but it is a very serious problem. We all of us. Why it is a serious problem? Some people may be happy to take money, but the many people may not be happy. They may be thinking, what is going on? Something wrong. If they keep on beating people, threatening people, what will be the consequences? People cannot silent. One day people will uprise. And then one is uprise, it will burn. In Churachampur, we have seen many occasions. Anger people's coming out on the street with the guns, with the sticks, with the weapons. They will burn down many places. And this is what we want, or this is what the authority want. We don't want violence. So therefore, we need to respect our vote, and this is our right. This has to be properly allowed to exercise. I mean, I'm not allocating anybody. Past is past. In future, at least we have the responsibility to elect right leadership, right candidate, our representative, right representative, who can look after all the people living in the state. If we are not selecting or electing our right representative, we are going to continue to have this kind of problem. And how Manipur is taking the model of UP or Bihar? If you don't give me the vote, I will shoot you, I will beat you, I will rape you. This is coming up. And if we see the whole trains of violence, we are very shameful in front of other peoples outside the state that why the Manipur becoming so worse in this kind of situation. And if we keep on doing like this, if civilians are not taking the responsibility, this will be keep on increasing. We cannot stop. Right? Actually, for the last about 4 or 5 years, I personally stopped walking like this, talking like this, because I was also threatened. Right? They shot to my daughter, they tried to kill my wife, and then they attacked my children, many things, right? They put the bombs near my office, right? And my staffs were beaten up and kidnapped. So I thought that this is a bad situation. But we cannot leave Manipur like this behind, right? And we are requesting all the responsible persons, including the armed groups, militaries, police, all of us, all the leaders, that this is the time to rethink and questions about our future. What I am saying is that it's not we are getting old and how long we can survive, maybe another 15, 20 years, but these young children, they have to survive longer. And we need to shape their future. They have to be protected. They have to be well educated. They should not be starved. They should get the food. They have the securities. They should have the children for our communities, for the state. If we leave guns for them, if we leave grenades for them, if we leave drugs for them, if we leave corruption for them, then what will be their future? There is no future. So we have a very, very serious question on that. And please don't think this is not possible to overcome. We can overcome, right? Indian Army and Assam Rifle were killing people for the last 15, 20 years, 30 years, right? Whatever they found, they just pick up and shoot and say that they found a gun and he or she belongs to this particular group, armed groups, so we kill. Then many lawyers or human rights activists documented the case and give it to Supreme Court, give it to UN, Special Rapporteur on Extrajudicial Execution. Then they start examining the case. Then it's found that they almost all are civilians. Even though they are the member of the armed group, police cannot give the proof that they are the member of the armed group. So if the court or police cannot prove, then they are civilians. Then now, more than 22 charge sheets have been submitted. No, one charge sheet, right? One charge sheet, if the CBI submit, there are 25 to 36 soldiers involved in one charge sheet. And if it is 22 charge sheet, you calculate, right? If Supreme Court properly investigate and give punishment, half of the Manipur police will be in the jail. Imagine. We don't want them. They also have the families, right? Okay, those who are very cruel or criminal, okay, we can put in the jail. Others are not shooting. They are going together. Then we request during the former government, Congress government, no, we cannot do like this. Once you investigate half of the police in the jail, then Manipur cannot be functioned. Right? Then Chief Secretary will be under question. All the DC will be under question. Right? I mean, Armed Forces Special Power Act is imposed here to assist the civil administration. They cannot operate without the order of SP and DC. But all the killing, DC, SP was not having the knowledge. So that is the problem. If the DCs are in the jail, then how we can function the district? It will be a problem. So therefore we said how to reconcile and how to give compensations to the victims' families and how to educate their children after their fathers were killed and how to forgive. This all we requested, but they don't want to do that. Right? So therefore, our future, we need to do it, and if we don't do it, we don't have any future. So I will end up here. Any areas, if we analyze, we examine, then we are all in problems. If we go to the bank, it's a problem, right? If we go to the market, it's a problem. If we travel in the bus, it's a problem. Everywhere we are having problems. But how to live without, with less problem, that we all need to think. Finally, we have to think for ourselves, but let us think for the future of our children, right? We should not allow our children to suffer like us. They should be protected. There should not be fear about it. They should not feel insecurities on our own land. So we need to protect it. So thank you very much.
Hello. We want to thank Pu Nobo Kishore, Secretary UNM, for sharing your thoughts. And I would like to draw the attention of the crowd. Speaker Pau in Asaya Kona, Donom Hilole, Habbenom Naimule, Kipatnam Lela, Amarai Hungdin Dodu Hintin. And since now we are in the discussion hour, I will also request Pu Novokisor to come on stage again, because we'll carry on with some discussion with whatever you have just presented to the audience. Okay, fine. It will be better for him to be seated where he is. Donom na imumvam.
Okay. It's not really a question, but I want to supplement and throw the ball to our respected Punabak Kishore. Actually, in Manipur, as you have, there are more than 40 ethnic tribes residing in Manipur. But do the majority community accept that? How do they derive Manipur? Is Manipur equal to Kanglei Park, or is Manipur equal to, what is their derivation exactly? I don't know. Then how do they describe Manipuri? Is Manipuri equal to Meitei community? That one is the first question. And my second question, my second point, what are the points that we need to put for rethinking? What are the points that need to be rethinked? Actually, we have mentioned many types of violences that happen in our states, and a kind of, are they really the root cause of those, just educating the law, or just tell them that something repercussion can be there? Will that solve, by educating those young people, will that solve those violences? Or is this happen because of violation of the constitutional right of some communities? Like Article 371C is there to protect the tribal people in Manipur. Are the tribal people really protected by those article, or is this article violated by some communities? Example, last year only, let me mention one department only, that is MOBC, Minority and Other Backward Classes, which is meant for development of the tribal areas, the minorities areas in Manipur. 170 crores was diverted for development of Human Lampak. Like that. When these things happen, when the tribal people did not get their due share, as the saying goes, a hungry man is an angry man. Will this kind of things be the root cause of such violence, and as you have drug trafficking or some things that are illegal? Will those be the root cause? So, if those are the root cause, how can we address and solve these issues? And about this questioning, when we question about the future of Manipur, when we are questioning about the future of Manipur, we have our due, our own responsibilities. Each individual have our own responsibilities for the better future and bad future of Manipur. So, here, as you have said that, Many violences, many drug trafficking, many illegal things are happening and happen in our states, especially those by the security forces, even by the security forces. Why the security forces are doing this, involved in such kind of violence? Might be, is that because of the rampant or corruption that happened in the state? We're recruiting some even GDs, police GDs. We know that the higher authorities are demanding lakhs and lakhs of rupees. These are happening in our doorstep. And those are very, very common question, but there is no concrete step taken till date, but we blame to those smaller people who are doing the crime. But we don't address to the real root of the cause of the problem. So, how do we move ahead for solving all these issues? What is your advice on this?
So thank you very much for this question. In the beginning, I already said we have problem everywhere. Everyone is facing these problems and all that. So now, why we have a discussion here is not that I can solve the problem. I cannot solve the problems, so therefore we are coming here. How all the people need to come together to respond to this crisis. Either it's a corruption, top level and all that. These young boys carrying arms, taking drugs, I am not blaming to them, but they were allowed by the leaders. They were used by them. They were asked by them to do all these things. Now, see, diversion of corruption, 40 ethnic communities is there, and the Manipur is, whether Meiteis will represent the Manipur. And I think it is not right Meitei only represent Manipur, right? So very often they said, many people within Manipur are saying that Meiteis are Manipuris only. I mean, all the 40 communities are living in Manipur. We belong to different communities, but we are Manipuris. So this idea was, I do not know how it came. Some are engineering this kind of thing, right from the beginning. So this is what we need to discuss in our community, in our youth club, in our localities and school and colleges, right? So this need to be clarified. What points need to be included in the rethinking, right? This I do not know. This we all need to think. We all need to contribute on what points we need to rethink. So therefore, I said already, this is just opening up the discussion. We are doing all over Manipur. We are going different part of Manipur. We are campaigning this thing, collecting all these ideas. Now, educating young people is also important. At the same time, addressing the issues confronted by the leaders need to be done. About 170 crores has been diverted there. Right. Now, why we don't file a case to the High Court or Supreme Court against this? Therefore, I already said, see, I cannot fight for you at the moment. I mean, anybody who coming from America or Europe will not fight for us. And this big issue, we all need to fight together. We need to file a case, this. Okay, my families are attacked, my organization attacked, right? So I was silent. about 2 years. Then I thought that no, these fellows, criminal, need to be responded. So therefore I filed a case to High Court last Friday. And the Monday it was hearing. And asked to government of Manipur why Manipur police and security forces are committing all this crime to my family. They have to give the answer next month, 7 July. Right? We will put them in the jail. So who will file the case for me? So I have to file a case. So this need to be, therefore, I mean, this is not only the thing. You also can write to the UN. You also can write, I mean, you are church. You all have a link with the World Council of Churches, World Baptist Alliances. All that things are there. So this need to be looked at. I'm not telling all these hard things to do, but if time comes, because the people are important, right? We need to protect our people. So we need to do that. So when we are questioning, we all have the responsibility. He said, so we need to take certain responsibility on this issue, and we need to take on this. And let us have a series of discussion. We will come back again with more expertise and others, and we can think and we can prepare. Please prepare. Please prepare. How to respond to this, because gun will not solve the problem. So that is the problem. Killing will not solve the problem. I mean, we see the killing for the last 20, 30 years. No problem. And what is happening to the Naga struggle? We all know. What is the struggles of the Métis? What is the struggles of different communities? We are in a difficult situation. So therefore, we need to take right strategy to respond to this. I think if you are not satisfied, I will come back again. We can discuss further.
Thank you, Mr. Nobo. I am Paul. I happen to be a student activist for quite a long time, and I used to champion the cause of these human rights and certain tribal policies throughout the Northeast India. And coming to this question hour, exactly this might not be a question hour, rather it be a complementary supplement from what has been said. Sir Nobo has already exemplified how drugs, especially arms, are deported into Manipur, disturbing the peace of the so many communities residing in Manipur. And more practically, Manipur, when I was a boy, was such a peaceful state. Nobody used to quarrel over a patch of land or a patch of identity. Nobody's authority above any other community, and the government was still at peace functioning and was leveling all the shares which was within the purview of the government. Now, the present Manipur, if you look at it, now the question comes, am I qualified to be called a Manipuri? Now, the technological development of the world has pampered to the extent that everybody is now an advocate, everybody is a commentator, and there is an uncontrolled hate speech going around. Okay. One particular community is castigating hate speech against another community. So it goes so on and so forth. And without any single proof of what we call authenticity of the speech, even the government dared to act swift, and they arrested so many people. And the government itself is something like a tyranny. See, there in political science, you see, power corrupts. absolute power corrupt absolutely. Okay. Power na chun corruption, I mean corruption power heart license corruption heart ekitium. See, every creation of this problem, I blame it to the then, present, and maybe the future government. Government is all for the people. Now, what is this government? Today, we are not gathered here to speak against the government, but certainly we have to point finger to the government. The government is the government who look after the welfare of the people under the provided Constitution of India, under certain acts. Now, do you think that the cookies have guns before 1990s? I think presumably not. Before 1990s, there are so many communities who have so many guns. Now, every single tribe, forget it, every family is having gun. Either licensed or unlicensed. So this has proliferated the case. Because of the failure of the government, people have started rebelling. So to protect your life and the life of the one whom you love, you have to have a gun. Otherwise you don't have choice. So along with the gun came the drugs. Because we have a porous border, Bangladesh, Manipur, Mizoram and all, see, Golden Triangle is not very far away from us. Now our land itself is a Golden Triangle. See, for example, how many of your mountains are filled with poppy? We produce drugs, and our children use drugs. And our young men took the pistols and the guns. See, this is the affairs of our present day society. Now, first thing, I have to blame myself. Why I am not leading my family in such an order that every family have to have it. As a head of family, I have to set my house in order. One, I have to advocate how to set my society in order. Every one of us have a share. We have a responsibility. See, even to get entered into Manipur rifles, a poor tribe will have to sold out his paddy fields, his homestead land, and get finally enrolled in the Manipur rifles as a constable. See, corruption to corruption. Na? See, nobody is questioning the government. Nobody speak out that corruption is happening here, but everybody runs inside here and there. See, corruption how much corruption has destructed our society. So, I have for Tamanda Bakishore, I interviewed one poppy cultivator. I was accompanied by two of my ZNU researcher friends. Why have you done this poppy cultivation? The mother and the son, they responded me. We want to be in the government service, but we don't have any money. So ultimately, if he don't have government job, my son will never get a woman to marry. So I have to find money through this means. This is the shortest means. If I succeed in 1 year, I can purchase the government job with 4 or 5 lakhs. So they did it, and eventually that fellow succeeded. See, for him though it is a boon. For the government it is a ban. But actually the government is instilling, is abetting the system. So these days when you look it up, in certain areas my community is being hated. So the same will go, your community will be hated in certain areas. The peace of our society will be disturbed. So all NGOs, irrespective of myself, yourself, we have to advocate this thing. The government has to be responsible, one. Why there is a flawed law and order situation in Chuchanpur? Why there is a flawed law and order situation in Imphal? We have to question it, one. See, genuine people are always the victim, one. If you speak justice, if you speak just thing, or if you advocate something which is against the will of the government, then you can be arrested. What is this? It's still funny. You have shared your testimony because you speak and you advocate human rights, you champion the cause, you have been threatened. So that happens everywhere. But you and I, all of you who are right thinking in a sense, we have to club together. We have to tie our hands together. We have to fight this evil. We have to protect at any cost our land for survival of our next generation. Plus, we don't have to feel shy of what is being done to you. You can file a case. We can demonstrate in the street. So we have to do it in such a way that today's small gathering would impact some of us, and in future, in this kind of deliberation, we may gain some grounds for others to listen to us also, and this will be an awareness for us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sanobo.
Hello. In a nutshell, Manipur is composed of 40 plus ethnic communities, wherein we have different aspirations and grievances. But then the irony is, today we have like I've mentioned earlier, today we have United NGO Mission Manipur coming forward for a collective cause to question the future of Manipur collectively. But then people have become so centric, we have become so centric, selfish or whatever, so that we have no such platform in our state. The Meiteis have their own frontal organizations, and the current situation we are in, we see mushrooming of new organizations overnight from the valley, formed purposefully to point fingers to other communities, right? And the vice versa in hills also. And the question of Manipur identity, who are Manipuris? I went to Delhi, I went to some other states. People call me Manipuri, and I don't feel, belonging there. I say them, we are the tribals of Manipur. No, that idea or that motive we already have. But then it's great that even United NGOs Mission come forward today. It's being, greatly commendable. And the rampant rise in hate speech and, tagging of particular community as refugees, whose handiwork is this? No one is illiterate these days. We're in 21st century. And if someone who is the supreme in the state administration points his finger stating that someone is a foreigner and someone is non-indigenous, the rest will follow suit, yeah? True. A state sunga alien pen pan ticho pathiale mi osena bolde hati chuhin. Today it is the fault of the state government for all developments, for all this youth unrest and social unrest and whatever is happening today. It's the fault of the government, I would say. And hichi tu hovel ga sia la chun tampi seidu mi in ki ha sinai da tin tin am hon neu khada het diu pa chu ke dei in such is the pathetic condition of a lovely state called Manipur, where we all should have a share. All the communities residing, when we talk about indigenous, I think there's no indigenous in the state of Manipur. Can you name one village wherein Since time immemorial, since God created this very earth, undisturbed by outside forces. Can you just name one village? If there can be such village, they will be indigenous to that village. In Imphal, we have so many Mayangs, so many polluted already, and with development, we'll have railway tracks and whatnot, and we will all be polluted again. Even Churachandpur is a mini Manipur in the making, where all communities reside here today. All migrants or whatever. We have many migrant workers as well. So if we are rethinking and questioning the future of Manipur, at least coming together is the beginning. Today we just come together and this is the beginning. In reality, you just browse Facebook right now and see someone commenting something. Then you feel insecure, and your reply will be will have adverse effect on them again. Such issues are prevailing currently in our state. But then who is to be blamed? And there are no youth frontal organizations or any civil society organization coming forward for a collective cause. It's a part of the line. Organization in a frontal organization. So Manipur ki tichu hoisalai sutub diu hi alachun koichun Manipur ki tichu anpo do hoya ko na chalahi khelu ram kati tampi saidu min socio political ela thil tampi min hin la tunya mi hin kai khom theya chi collective cause khat message pin a trading platform ahung maung le ipa chawe ti to chuni sai be ni lang. So any other question from the audience? The floor is open for anyone who has a query or who have doubt regarding our speaker's presentation. The floor is still open. Okay, trong khăn ki yang na live in lang azol le ho ki question tu na live tin amom pe na hi question hata erase thei du ham ti chu ke dei dan hi in we'll open a short tea break, and meanwhile, I request each and every one of you to start rethinking, start opening up your minds, so that more interesting questions can be raised. And moving out of this room, we have a new perception about Manipur. Thank you. Second session adi na bon chawin ka hinlim ki duvin azau chun to thai tho moin English pau to dang dang thovin to ai pau ngel ngelai ki hodu hin question jong ha tan hin raise win lang ki gong win lang ichlaya meeting minute United NGOs Mission Manipur video capture ki bol pa hi akhole igin cha sangwa mun sangta ala mun puimo ta jong thong thei ji chun hechi tabong platform hi tabong advantage nei pa hi phatan mang chaute ti vel kan tip naw hen lang tuin Dr. Thathang Hang Sing aman phat loading kovin ama hongjing line presentation organize zal ho kon in jong neu chaung ki bol no min ta chun ki bor tha de ki pawmente Puta thanga ding khotna be matale presentation na ke chai chela ma jong phat ain la pe di tante
Amen. I'd like to thank the organizer for inviting me. We have already had a thought-provoking ones from the resource persons and some commentators, and on today's workshop on rethinking and questioning the future of Manipur. My topic would be peace education, peace building, conflict management, and resolution. Sa pao langa chu kohung kigin thau hin la ei mi chang se tawin adar kalumbe hin suta le ka topic zong hi zat sum naga community zong hen lang me he community zong ei holang community zong su ke hen lang I community a chu conflict I ti manage them peace restoration peace building so I ti hlut sa diu ham ti pa chu mi khat ni them khat hi zong le I community chi a chu aza he ki hen lang implement he ai lo le implement he hi zong le knowledge nei so ma khat ni pa so ma pa chu I ma dei dan na lawa zat khat chan di la vet thei ting aman khat le ni hutia chu a sei pi theya hung phachom de hin community khat se sen za jing ai lo le PhD adang in ati lo het lo le phachum lo hin suta le seminar dung workshop hoin hi zong le sermon thu ki sei ho zong hoin kai thanu mami pha ho se in za wa I het be jing hin aphalo ho hoinung di lo seminar hung di lo het di lo na phachum di lo ngai hi jing ti to bang khat kasan hi zong le education purpose hi ta zong le hian lang sei po tin ti chu dunia chu I ham a practicable zong umam ti chu vet deu he okay we have been organizing prayer for peace in our church or somewhere else, and maybe through negotiations or forming peace committee. Do you think that these are the only way? So today, we would like to look at on the ways and means how peace could be built and conflict could be managed and peace could be restored. We had many issues and agendas confronting us from time to time. Manipur is a home of so many conflicts and turmoils. We have had experiences, a number of communal and ethnic tensions and wars, especially during the 1990s. In the 1990s, we have already known that there were Kuki-Naga conflicts, there were Meitei-Pangal conflicts, and there were the Kuki-Zaumi conflicts, so to say, and so many others. But as per my observation, until before 1990, such a big turmoil or this kind of conflicts had not so much arisen in Manipur. It started since after 1919. Insurgency problems were there, and the brutality of armed forces under the purview of Armed Forces Special Power Act, AFSPA, were numerous and intolerable. Boot capturing during elections were common. Common people's lives were at stake and at numerous times miserable. They were not the things of the past. It happened today also and will continue to go on. This is the situation we are living in. Communalism and communal differences are always still there. The state is heading towards more communal tensions, divide, and disintegration due to land issues, identity issues, and feeling of securities, etc. English achu kan se zo dei tai teleka skibola ti zi achu English a se di ti zi achu as a result of that we need conflict management and resolution out of all these conflicts. And conflict resolution is not sufficient to deal with these problems. Therefore we need peace education and peace building. So I'll come up firstly about conflict. Concept of conflict. Conflict is a relationship between two or more parties, maybe individual or groups, who have incompatible goals. If social power, economic or political relations between the two groups are imbalanced, then conflict will arise. It is a part of social interactions and cannot be separated from our relations also, according to the expert views. It is with us. So as it cannot be separated with our relations, then we need to know how to handle it and how to resolve and how to manage conflict. To resolve a conflict, we need to bring a chance, management, settlement, resolution. All these are the necessity. Root causes, context of the conflict, sources and dynamics. All are important to study the conflicts. Methods of resolution can be through dialogue, maybe through a mediator. So an agreement out of a conflict situation can reach through a dialogue, through a mediator. I'll not elaborate it. Conflict is not static. It changes anytime. It may increase or decrease. Today conflict may subside. Tomorrow, and another conflict will arise. This will be the order of the day. Understanding conflict. Conflict is a struggle for values, resources, powers, etc. And within resources, we have land issues, conflict out of this situation, even at the present moment. There may be 4 levels of conflict. Intrapersonal, that is within oneself, and interpersonal, between two people, and intragroup, within community. Even in our society here, in our local society, we have such intragroup conflict. Even within our community, there are so many conflicts. Divisiveness or any other thing that I need not to elaborate. We know it. So, we need a conflict resolution. Then the 4th one will be intergroup, between one and the other, another community. One community and another community. Between the different communities, conflict arose many times. Even if there is no violence also, conflict is always there from time to time. Sort of 5 conflict resolution strategies that I brought up were: number 1, don't ignore conflict. We must ignore conflict. Number 2, clarify what the issue is. Out of what issues that conflict arise, we need to be clear to that. And number 3, bring involved parties together to talk. There should be another party to involve those parties who are in conflict to talk, to negotiate, and to resolve the issues. And number 4, identify a solution. We need to identify a solution in order to manage and resolve a conflict. Then, number 5, continue to monitor and follow up on the conflict. When we resolve the issue or a kind of solution is brought up, then we end up. This is our usual doings. But that is not sufficient. That doesn't mean that the conflict totally ends. We need to continue to monitor and follow up on the conflict. When we fail this, or as we fail this, conflict always starts again in our society. As a result of all these conflicts, we need peace education and peace building. As conflict resolutions alone cannot solve the problems. So, what is peace education then? Peace education refers to education which focuses on learning the skills necessary for living peacefully and promoting actions to create peaceful alternatives. Hobbes pointed out that a society without peace is like life in the state of nature, brutish, barbaric, short, dull, and nasty. Then, without peace, that means we are living in an uncivilized world. It's the same way that we are living in a barbaric world. We have seen videos regarding the naked, the barbarians. But when we don't have peace in the society and when we live in fear, we are equivalent to that state of nature. This is what Hobbes likes to point out. Peace education is associated with human rights, dignity, and democracy. It is a greater necessity in the 21st century. Before the wars, we are talking about war, but today it is time to talk about peace. This concept is also clearly drafted in the UN Declaration. And it is not only in the UN Declaration, it is in the Hague Agenda 1999. There were 50 points agendas put forward by the Hague Convention. And this peace education is also given a place in the NEP, New Educational Policy, National Education Policy 1986 as well as 2020. And I'll be coming with that again. When we talk about peace education, then what is its aim? Mainly there are 5 aims of peace education. Its aim is to prevent and conflict in advance, or rather to educate individuals and a society for peaceful coexistence on the basis of, number 1, non-violence. Peace education is to prevent conflict in advance, not to just solve the problems after the conflict, but more so to prevent conflict. For peaceful coexistence on the basis of non-violence. Number 2, tolerance. Number 3, equality. Number 4, respect for differences. And number 5, social justice. These are the 5 aims of peace education. Types of peace education. Conflict resolution training. We need to have conflict resolution training. There will be a difference between a trained person and untrained one in everything. Conflict resolution training involves teaching people tools and strategies for effectively resolving a conflict within their personal lives. This conflict management, resolution, and peace building, all these are a necessity in our own day-to-day life, in our own community, within our own community, our own self, and not necessarily with one community and the other community. But experts and trained persons on these lines are lacking in our tribal society, I should say. Therefore, conflict always arises and goes on. If at least there are leaders or workers who had the knowledge and expertise to manage these conflicts, then it can subside. Not by its own naturally, but early. Number 2, democracy education. We are living in a democratic world. And we know what is democracy. We know our constitutions and our constitutional rights under democratic form of governance. But we don't know the respects, the dignities, and the safeguard for other person or other community. Therefore, it is much still lacking. Therefore, democracy education is a necessity, in my point of view. Number 3, human rights education. There are many human rights violations. We have had so many human rights violations from our previous resource person and through commentators. Number 4, worldview transformation. Our outlook, our view, our thought, attitude, all this should be broadened. It should not be a microscopic scope or an eyes view. It should be a world view transformation. Number 5, contemporary peace education. We need peace education about our contemporary. That means our present situation, our present society, politics, anything. Strategies for achieving peace fall under 3 basic categories. Number 1, peacekeeping. Number 2, peacemaking. Number 3, peace building. At first, we need to keep peace. Secondly, we need to make peace. And thirdly, we need to build peace. These are the 3 main purposes of peace education. Johann Vincent Galtung, who was born on 24th October 1930, a Norwegian sociologist, was the principal founder of the discipline of peace and conflict studies. And in India, it was Lal Bahadur Shastri, who is the father of peace in India. John Vincent Galtung is the father of peace and conflict studies. But Peace Education Foundation was started by Grace Contrino Abrams and Franz Smith, who were both long-time teachers and peace activists during the 1950s to 1970s. And this peace education only started after the Second World War, that is, after 1945. As an academic subject, peace studies began in the aftermath of World War II, as I said, and from there, UNESCO then here maybe NCERT in the Indian context for educational purposes. All these are working and given a place even in the syllabuses. UNESCO has a book, Learning the Way of Peace, a teacher's guide to peace education. We can read this book in order to have more knowledge about peace education, and many others would be there. 10 characteristics, values, or characteristics of peace education. Non-violence, number 1. Number 2, conflict resolution techniques. And number 3, human rights. Human rights is not the violation of only the armed forces, the army or the police, but one person can always violate another person's human rights. One community can always violate the other communities, and the government can always take or violate the rights of the people. It is an important component, therefore, within peace education. Number 4, coexistence. Peace can be there only when we live, or we can live in peaceful coexistence. One community or the major community dominating the minor community cannot bring peace in the society. Number 5, human understanding. Number 6, democracy. Number 7, tolerance and recognition of diversity. One should have the tolerance towards another community or another group, and one should have the recognition when there is no recognition between two parties, or when there is not a valid treatment of two communities as an equal status, then there cannot be peace. We live, as we always said, in the state where there are so many communities, so many groups and tribes, and this is unity in diversity, we say. It is more so for India. But when there is no recognition, then there cannot be peace. Number 8, social harmony. Number 9, dignity of individual and caring for others. When a person or a group or community has no dignity in the place where he resides, or in his own situation, I should say, then there cannot be peace. Not only dignity of individual or groups, but or communities, dignity, caring for others also come under peace education values. Number 10, avoidance of injustice. There can be peace when there is justice to everyone, every community. So, as an audience, do you think all these are a validity with the problems, situation of our state? 4 components of peace. Constructing equity, number 1. Number 2, constructing harmony. Number 3, reconciling past. Number 4, resolving present conflict. We need to build, we need to construct equity, and we need to also bring harmony. Then we need to be able to reconcile to the past. And number 4, we need present conflict resolution. All these are the 4 components of peace. 4 pillars of educations. All 4 pillars of our educations, Indian education I am meaning, also state, number 1, learning to know, number 2, learning to do, number 3, learning to live together, number 4, learning to be. We all are educated. Many of us are educated today, and we all had gone through schoolings, learning, educating. But the education we receive are based on these 4 pillars: learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, learning to be. Here, number 3, learning to live together. If we can or we don't learn to live together, then what is the value of our education? This is a big challenge, a big question. If uneducated or uncivilized persons could not have that kind of sense, then at least the education need to learn to live together. This is according to Jacques Delors' report and UNESCO report 1996. One of the UNESCO missions is to contribute to the building of a culture of peace. It has given a comprehensive definition of learning to live together, you see. From Book of Teachers and Tertiary Education, 1998. It is stated here that one of the UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Social and Culture, Scientific and Culture Organization's mission is to contribute to the building of a culture of peace. And it gives a comprehensive definition of learning to live together, how we should learn to live together. The 4 agenda areas under the Hague Appeal for Peace 1999 also included human security, conflict prevention and resolution, international human rights, and humanitarian law and culture of peace. Rig Veda also has stated learning to live together in the form of brotherhood and caring and sharing for others. Paths of yoga in Hindu religion are leading to peace. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, and Bhakti yoga. All this show the path of learning to live together. And today, we leave aside all this and we are not practicing at all. The Bible fervently teaches and promotes peace. All religions of the world are propagating peace and tolerance. So, every book of religions, every religious books, I should say, are teaching about learning to live together, tolerance, and peace. But we are still in a state of conflict, in a state of turmoil, pointing towards one another, whether we are from different religious backgrounds, different communities. But what we have practiced and what our religions teaches us are learning to live together, tolerance and peace. Whether a Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Christian, etc. Nehru Panchayat in 1954 has given 5 principles of learning to live together. The 5 principles of Pansil or peaceful coexistence are: number 1, equality. Everyone should be treated equally. Every country should be treated equally. There should be equality treatment between India and China. This is one of the Pansil agreement point between India. This Pansil was signed by India and China in 1954. Number 2, responsibility, and for this we have our own responsibility. Number 3, mutuality, mutual cooperation, mutual coexistence, living together in a mutual state, or whether economic, social relations or political relations between India and China, there should be mutuality. And in our dealings also between one community and another community, there should be mutuality. If there is and when there is mutuality, then why should a conflict arise? This is the possible question. Number 4, efficiency. And number 5, freedom. This freedom is also a part of the fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution. Personal freedom, individual freedom, then freedom of minorities, freedom of each and every community, etc. Pansil's objectives were also related to all this. Number 1, peaceful coexistence, objectives of the Pansil. Number 2, mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity. Number 3, mutual non-aggression. Number 4, mutual non-interference. Number 5, equality and cooperation for mutual benefit. If we just practice these 5 Pansil, then there can be peace in our Manipur community also. Peaceful coexistence, living together side by side. We can't accept this. One community trying to push or kick the buttock of another community. Then disregarding the dignity of another community, no mutual respect between the two or between one another, or no mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity or for each other's land. Aggression, interference, all these are there. All these are the issues. Therefore, conflict arises in our society. Therefore, the essential requirement in the 21st century is to understand the concept of liberalization, personalization, internationalization, and globalization. See, we are living in the contemporary world of advanced society, advanced culture, advanced technology, and an advanced age of liberalization, globalization, etc., I should say. Still, our concept, our attitude are very narrow. As a result of that, we cannot accept the other's community. We cannot accept the dignity and free to live of the other's community. We disregard the other's community and we propagate our own. This is our situation. Therefore, we need to understand more about the concept of liberalization. a more liberal attitude. Personalization, internationalization, and globalization. At one point of time, every human being is a cave dweller, is an early man, a food hunters and gatherers. No one created the earth, the planets, the plants, and everything within them except God. But we all say that this is my land, this is not your land, and quarreling. If someone is living there for years, that means that is his land. If it is not his land, how can he live there? This is the challenge. If we have mutual respect and regard to each of our own dominance, I should say, then there cannot be any conflict. Dr. Lei Ren Singh, L. Lei Ren Singh, once said, "We are the members of humanity as a whole. We are just members of humanity." And today we are bringing issues and cropping up with unnecessary problems about issues of indigeneity, etc. This is not the way how a broad-minded and educated person would look upon things. New education policy 1986 and 2020 also give pace on peace education. Then National Curriculum Framework 2000 and revised in 2005 also included peace education. But how can we learn about peace and to live together in peaceful coexistence? We have a very big challenge. Therefore, we need to focus more on these areas, not only for within one community, but for every community, especially who are living together in Manipur. Peace education can be negative peace education, positive peace education also. When we talk about negative peace education given after the concurrence of conflict, or it is just the absence of war. Yes, there can be peace education. We can say that with the absence of war, there is peace. But this is not a positive peace. When we talk about and give about peace education after the occurrence or concurrence or happenings of a conflict, that is, a kind of peace education, but it is a negative peace education according to experts. Positive peace education is peace education in building peace process before any conflict activities take place. In positive peace, the condition of society in which the structure of exploitation and domination which can lead to war have been eliminated. This is positive peace education. Then peace building. Peace building quite broadly refers to actions that are taken proactively to prevent violent conflict or to ameliorate the effects of violent conflict. This is the definition given by Catholic Relief Services about peace building. That means it broadly refers to actions that are taken proactively, positively, to prevent violence, to prevent conflict, or to ameliorate the effects of violence or conflict. Peace is not simply the absence of war, but also law, orders, and governance. This is stated by Albert Einstein. According to him, it is not just the absence of war. In order to build peace and conflict resolutions, then who are responsible? Who has a role to play? Number one, individual. Each individual has our own role in order to bring peace. Each of us has a role to play. Number two, society. The society includes community, different communities, and leaders of each community, like the tribal bodies, like the civil society organizations, even student bodies. All these bodies need to be proactive in order to build peace, if we really want peace. But who is doing that? Who is working for this? No one, I should say. Number three, NGO. United NGO Mission Manipur is organizing this one. I don't really know what is the purpose. The theme is rethinking and questioning the future of Manipur. But are we talking about the political issues, the atrocities that we have suffered under the government or under the armed forces or community conflicts? And shall we have to give our thought and our view on the future of Manipur, that Manipur is heading towards this way and that way? Therefore, today, I am bringing about peace, education, peace building, conflict management and resolution for my own topic. Then the church. Yes, to a great extent, the church is walking towards this line, I should say. But it has limitations also. And within the church circle also, there are limited expertise and experience, or there are limited numbers who were working on this. And mainly the church based their advocacy of peace, education, and conflict resolution on the Bible, mainly based on the Bible. But outside the Bible, what can we do? Outside our prayers meet for peace, what can we do? Women also can bring peace. Radha Krishnan even said that educating a child, a boy or a male child, is only educating one individual person. But educating a girl child is educating everyone. Media also has a great role to play. This I felt very important. Today, whatever said here is reported by the media differently then media can create a conflict, a communal tension, a communal conflict or personal conflict. Media can hide which needs to be, so that avoidance of conflict can be there. And media can spread conflict management, resolution, and peace building. In school, even in school, teachers can always focus on this area, even if it is not in the syllabus, even if it's not included within the chapter of their books. But still, when teaching inside the classroom, teachers can always do that. The Peace Education Foundation, which was started by Grace Cantrino Abrams and friends Schimius, which we have talked about, were doing in that way. They were school teachers and they taught in their own capacity, and they include in their lectures about peace education. Therefore, it could come up, even up to a curricular standard, curricular teachings. But if a teacher is communal, a teacher is biased, a teacher is sowing the seed of communal division, then what would be the mindset and reactions of the pupils or students be in the futures to come? It will have a great reaction when they grow up in their own personal lives, and would bring within himself or herself a disrespect, intolerance, or something like an aggressive attitude towards the other community. So, teacher is also very important. Mahatma Gandhi said, "There's no way to peace. Peace is the way." The peace will not come by its own. Peace will not travel from afar. Peace will not be created or will not be born on its own. But we need to make peace. We need to follow peace. We need to create the environment. The world has enough for everyone's need, but not for everybody's greed. Mahatma Gandhi said this also. We are living in the world where nature had endowed us everything, our needs. And when we are not satisfied with that, when we want more, then out of this greed, that conflict arises and peace cannot be there. Conflict and structural violence came out of greed. It breeds secondary violence when it leads to self-destruction. It breeds secondary violence which leads to self-destruction, community, national and international destruction. See, when there is a conflict, then it can lead to structural violence, all because of our own greed, and this violence can breed to another violence, which leads to self-destruction, destruction to the one who bring the conflict, violence itself, to others, communities or groups. And not only within the society, but it can affect the nation, and it can also bring to international destruction. If there is violence here, if there is ethnic war, ethnic clash here, could we say that the war is in peace? No. That means the war is not at peace, because there is violence here somewhere in the war. Therefore, the need of the hour is to reduce prejudice and bias in the minds of different sections of the people. So we should set aside our own prejudice and bias towards others, so that there can be peace, so that their conflict can be avoided. When we say about Manipur context, see, it depends on the role of the state government. It largely depends, how far peaceful coexistence is sustainable in the society. If the government is playing its own card on different sections, communities of the people, then definitely there cannot be peace. The British colonialists, as we have already said, had effectively used divide and rule policy among different sections of community in India and rule with this divide and rule policy. But if the same mechanism is applied by the government, our own state government, then there cannot be a chance for peaceful coexistence, which should result into unending conflict without any solution. Therefore, the government has great responsibility and role to play in peace building and conflict resolution. When there is communal tensions or there is a divide or a violence, the government have to act swiftly and proactively. If it is not that, then conflict cannot be resolved. Government should need to handle it. Government should manage it. The government should be the middleman, should be the negotiator, the one who have to create a platform for negotiations. But in the 21st century, if we are living in a state of turmoil, if we can have a communal violence, social violence, then that means that, as Hobbes said, we are living in a barbaric state of uncivilized war 2,000-3,000 years back. Government cannot remain silent. Government cannot be biased or indifferent. It is a people government. It must be equally the government for both the majority and the minority communities. Besides, bureaucrats like our DC, our SDO, or any, in their capacity can play a positive role also. If there is a conflict here, communal, violence, then who is the administrative in charge of the district? The DC, obviously. He is the government here. When he did not handle the situation effectively, that means naturally there can be violence freely. There can be communal class violence. and can spread like wildfire. That means this is the failure of the administration. And if the state government is from time to time fostering an appeasement policy towards a particular community against the interests of the other communities, then the state would be in perpetual crisis. In the past, some past government apparently towed the line of appeasing one particular community for its own interests and agendas. But today, it changed and shifted its own appeasement policy to another community who are the opposite. How long this can go? The government will go away after 5 years. And if a new government is formed, then the government policy can be changed again and again. Therefore, nothing is permanent. Such conflict situation will not also be permanent. As we said, it is not static. It can decrease or increase also. So, this is within us, and conflict is always with us. It cannot be separated with us. We need to be able to handle, and we need to know that conflict will always be there. And sometimes it can decrease or it will decrease. Sometimes new conflict will come up. Sometimes policy will be changed and moving in a different directions. We need to be able to educate ourselves with the situation to be able to come up and handle the current situation which should come in our way. See, AFSPA firstly implemented in 1958 in Nagaland for Northeast states. It was implemented in Kashmir and it came to Nagaland, and after that some states of Northeast including Manipur in 1980, leading to the loss of many innocent lives. You see, Oinam killings in which the NSNIM ambush, so to say, the armies and kill about 10, and then the military carried out Operation Blue Bath. This Operation Blue Bath by the AR in 1987, which lasted more than 3 years, are still current in the minds of the public. Many were tortured, many were killed, women were raped, even pregnant women were forced to give birth with them in front of the naked view of the army warrants themselves, and then obstruction of all witnesses. When eyewitnesses of all these killings and arrests and harassment, rape, etc., were reported by the villagers, then their lives were endangered. And to give their witness account to court, they were blocked and they were harassed, they were given warning. Some witnesses who had witnessed to court were missed under mysterious circumstances. Such were the state of affairs. Till today, no positive solution came up. And Malom massacre on 2nd November 2000, where 10 civilians were shot dead by the AR. We still know that Iram Chanu Sarmila began to fast from there. And human rights activists, etc., came up to campaign for that. Women vendors were shot dead. Women were raped. Even pregnant women lost their lives. Different ethnic movement groups went into procession in Imphal and submitted to a memorandum to the CM. When the CM of Manipur and other officials reported the matter and have a request from the Prime Minister and Home Minister of India, then the military officials got angry and they even threatened the CM and his officials. When such states of affairs diminish, and when even insurgency problem is on the wane, then we felt ourselves free, and then we started creating issues on communal lines. If such problem, armed insurgency, then high-handedness of the military would be still current today. Do we have a chance to create another communal tensions within ourselves? Obviously, maybe no. Therefore, as a responsible citizen, when all these are absent or diminishing, then we need to build more peace, more solutions, and need to try to head towards development for building our society a better place. We need to learn from our past experience. The Naga-Kuki conflicts, the Meitei-Pangal conflicts, then our own conflicts here, and many other conflicts which we have experienced in the past. We need to learn the atrocities that we suffer from the high-handedness of the military personnel under AFSPA. We need to love and live peacefully in coexistence. We need to sort out development agendas, working each other side by side. But instead of that, what did we do? We go the other way around. We have to learn from Rwanda experience, you see, and the Cambodia experience also. In Rwanda, the Hutus and the Tutsi tribes were almost all eliminated, I should say, because of their communal violence, class killings, and a long time war was fought between the two. Why can't we learn from those experiences? We have our own experience. Why can't we learn at least from our own experience? Who would be the gainer? No one. In war, violence, in conflict, everyone is the loser. No one is the winner. No one gains, but loses. Sarmila Tagore said, I want peace very much, but first we should have justice. Justice is the foundation of peace. So, justice should be there. Justice should be brought. by the community, by the state government, and everyone responsible to the other one who are in need. Pope John Paul VI said in 1972, if you want peace, work for justice. See, therefore, we'll come down to brief solution and I'll end up. Conflict should be analyzed. Without analysis, then we cannot resolve it. We need to bring a chance to solve it. Therefore, we need to, number one, manage conflict. Number two, settle conflict. Number three, resolve conflict. And in order to resolve conflict, we need to satisfy three basic human needs. That is identity, recognition, and security. One's identity needs to be recognized. And everyone, every member as a citizen should have a security. Number four, prevent conflicts. Aim at stopping violence out of conflict, which is a concept familiar with the UN also. So, to prevent a conflict, then number five, bring solution to conflict. After managing, settling, resolving, preventing conflict, then we need to bring a solution, or we can bring a solution to the conflict. Transform conflict, transform it to achieve solution. That must be sustainable, not just to bring solution. The solution should not be a short term. It must be sustainable. Therefore, peace building is an initiative aimed at conflict transformation. It arises as conflict resolution alone cannot solve the problem. Peace building is a necessity to conflict transformation. Why it is a necessity? Because conflict resolution alone cannot solve the problems. And for successful peace building, it needs a skill. Peace building is also a long process. Solution must be sustainable. There should not be distinction. If there is distinction, then every party could not be satisfied. Everyone must be given equal opportunity and enough room for his own development. And I say Shalom. Shalom means God is peace. If God is peace, then why can't we live in peace? This is a big question. So, in our context, for my summary, I would like to read the conclusion of Mangi Singh. In his Zollner paper on challenges confronting peacemaking efforts and experience in the Kuki-Naga conflict in Manipur during the early 1990s, in his conclusion, he stated that the pluralistic identity of the society has to be cherished and nurtured, and there has to be a greater spirit of accommodation and tolerance among the people. There is also the need for developing administrative efficiency and security preparedness. The government, both the center and the state, should be non-partisan while dealing with the militants of different ethnic groups. Development is also a must. It is true that absence of peace stands in the way of development, but it is also true that neglect of development leads to discontentment, which in turn leads to disturbance of peace. The government also must work for development in an even manner. The interest and identity of the smaller tribes should also be justly protected. Otherwise, there is fear on their part of being swamped by the bigger tribes in the simmering conflict. I'll end up with this. I'll not explain this. This is the conclusion given by Sir Manggi Singh. He is the author of some books and has written also not only the Kuki-Naga conflict but also Kuki-Zomi conflict, and he works in the political science department, Manipur University. He would have a vast knowledge regarding conflict situation in Manipur, I hope. So if there is any question, you can ask me freely and I'll be able to, I'll try to respond that, and I'll end up with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thatang, for the mind-blowing session. And I will open the floor for any queries from the audience, if any. Hello? Anyone from the audience? Okay.
Sir, I have one question regarding rethinking and questioning the future of Manipur topic. How does our prejudice and biasness for one particular section can hamper the peaceful restoration process? And what do you think about our prevailing issues and situation? That's it.
Yes, regarding our prevailing situation, I would state that it is very tense to comment on the reality. In Manipur, in our society, if we speak the truth, that means we are in trouble. Then someone would be our enemy. Our previous resource person has also said that he and his family was threatened. Not only this, today, from the government side, it is more a militantism. Now, if I blame the government, if I blame the CM, he would come and arrest me. You see? But who would be responsible if parents are not responsible upon the children? If the government have the sense to play a proactive role, how can there not be peace? How can there be a communal divide? The present government can toe the line of peaceful settlement or agenda instead of nurturing communal division. This is my point. Thank you.
Adangum nalayam.
Respected resource persons have analyzed from his point of view. My question is, how do you visualize, or how do you question yourself about the future of Manipur coming to the context of our society in Churchanpur?
Yeah, the Bible also says that divided family, a family in conflict or quarreling is turning to its own fault. Now, the present scenario in Manipur is, according to my own viewpoint, not healthy. And if a rotten tomato can make all the other tomatoes rotten, then such unhealthy situation can also have impacts on our present society here. We are also living in a divisive mood. But we need not to make history repeat itself, but we need to rather learn from history. If we learn from the present situation, then we can be able to live together in unity, so that whatever comes in our way, injustice or malfunctioning of any agency, maybe, or drugs or corruption, can be fought together. Will it be clear? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Another query from. Please do introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Steven from M. Sungil. So, sir, I want to ask one question. That is, looking to a larger scale in Manipur, we are being discriminated. We know that, but we in Sisipul as well, we ourselves are, discriminating each other from a community like you just mentioned, Jomi and Kuki conflict, and I think till today it's still prevailing because when in times of problems, so to say, there will be bunds on the other side, and above this lighthouse, there will be a division. So can you please explain me about the significance of this lighthouse, please?
The problems is about ownership. The problems is about that I am bigger, and influence areas, portions, such kind of division has always been there and is still there. See, there should not be a communal divide. We live in our districts where there are so many communities. There should not be ownership of the district among these tribes who live together. It's for everyone, and there should not be the question, who is the bigger, who is the numerous tribe in number, and who is the dominant tribe, who is the lesser tribe. We are more, you are less. All this should be set aside. And the same thing is necessary for the state of Manipur. The majority community should not have such mindset, should drop the mindset of that to live in harmony. So, when this mindset is set aside or abandoned, then there can be harmony, I think, in our state. And lighthouse is just a cinema hall. It is not a boundary. And it is not a boulder pillar also. It is just an old building where cinemas were shown for entertainment in the past, but not even shown today. And it is just an old building, an old man, which did not have any significance. Why should we give significance till today? This is my question.
Can I add some more points with regard to that explanation? Yes. Our discussion has come to a stage where we can express our ideas freely, and I'm glad that the question has been put up. This is some sort of what we call prevailing in terms of the minds of the people residing in this place and that place. But fortunately, we have to find a common way like this. There was a system in our area during the start of this Naga-Kuki conflict. There has been apprehension from some of our kindred groups. Then there was a formation of groups like some tribes forming themselves so as to keep themselves safe from the onslaught of that Naga conflict. So that happens like that, and finally there was a group called what we call ZRO and KNF. Such and such things has happened. The difference of the party ideology has created and crept into the common man that we usually used to follow like that. No. So to be frank, now the problem is somewhat like non-persistent anymore, because the UPF and the KNO, they have grouped into two groups. Now they are in one common agenda. They have unitedly support the territorial demand, something like that. Okay. And if you still have the sense that I am holier than thou, the attitude of holier than thou, then this will go on. As the Bible tells, no. I have to be the person responsible for creating havoc in others' group. See, blame yourself. If I say sorry to you, then you'll never get angry against me. Like there is an accused and there is an assaulted one. Something like that. So we have to have a mind of reconciliation. Reconciliation should come with truth. If you abide by truth, then reconciliation is very easy. But if you still follow untruth path, then you cannot reconcile. Now, the question is, internal division can be settled by the forces of external, what we call invasion. Churchanpur, if you have to think yourself that Churchanpur is the biggest in the world and you cannot come out from this Churchanpur, then internal strife will be still there. But if you think larger, that your economy, that your social system is not adapting with the development of the civilization of the other part of the world, then you can come to realize that we cannot live in this cockpit. You have to come out. We have to come out from this, what you call, mindset, so that we can be liberated yourself. We have to liberate ourselves, and there is a world phenomenon that globalization has reached in every corner of the villages and in the remotest area. So, if you have to tune with the globalization process or the modernization process, then keeping this very, what you call, very silly kind of hate feelings, no, have to be got away. Now, when people started hate speech against you, then you cannot accept it, no. So, if you hate others, people hate you. If you love others, people will love you. As simple as that. From my perspective, we are too small a community to argue each other. We are too small and microscopic minority. See, if we continue like this, we will never be anybody in the competitive world of our state, even. See, when the greater force is attacking you, then you cannot survive. So every man, like animals, If we are in group, we survive. If we are divided, we don't survive. It happens in even today also. United States of America, if they are not united, then they will be splintered into groups and people will have access on them and they will be defeated. So a small Ukrainian state is resisting the superpower Russian force even not today because they are united. They have the feeling of unity. Now you and I, what we call the boundary between the lighthouse, you and I, we are nobody, we are one. We are as one as myself and my wife. In terms of our origin, in terms of our belongingness, in terms of our share similarity, you cannot put the two into two. There is no two. It is one, and we have to behave as one. And you don't have to spend more time in thinking of this thing. Things will come. If things don't come, then you can be the agent to come things into one. You be yourself as an agent. I can carry the torch of this, what we call oneness or peaceful kind of thing, no? And you can also bear the torch. You can also be the torch bearer. If you think good, good will come. If you think bad, bad is always near you. Unless you don't prevent yourself to speak out what you call dirty minds, nobody is going to force you to speak out dirty minds. It is up to you. And especially the community leaders like you and me, we have to have big heart. Because ultimately, people will come and talk. Human beings in the whole universe are one. Now, we say that so many such and such things, that will not make us any progress anyway. We have our own sole responsibility. You and I are, from today, we can start a new beginning. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Yes, our discussion and our this gathering is really very. We have a very great opportunity to have this very peaceful kind of discussion, very peaceful kind of a workshop about what a peaceful coexistence, and as our research person, Dr. Thatang has delivered on the topic of peace education. I would like to share something about my viewpoints regarding the present scenarios and what I felt that the root cause of what is our problems. I want to share something. Kagyan dotsu ay pau thi chia demo to ithilma danu I language danu kagyan ut khato mai isu dampi forest ya mai kele chela paya koi forest am ipir kiti thado hama thing kho malsa kiti ha thing kho le malsa lang sampain ku kite ti chu hoi lang cooking pomlo hoin adel diu ham ka ti chu na tribal, every tribal must come together at ti diu chu kuki pa kuki chapa kuki chenwa kiti le kuki ten delo kiti ji chu na ipom lo ji a chu ai le tha khatai pan thena du le chu tribal ho jo se dam hum de che diu de ti diu chu I chi diu chu na Why chuki I language danu poimo ka sak na common issue tribal issue akichele tribal imat diu kuki ham zomi ham promote bolo diu na ai le kuki be sahiya kuki issue le kuki na ti diu zomi be se le zomi be zomi ti diu na common issue pa chu tribal issue na he thiam le ki chai. Thank you.
From Ukraine-Russia relations, from Myanmar's military coup, and other wide-ranging issues, we have come down to our imaginary boundary called lighthouse. But this is very cold to us because we live here. Set your house in order, kitin. Is that tulin tulai sayvangwa chu achaina chu a sung mama hi in. And while I was in the university, one professor was so realist. He was always very direct to the point. So he said, Manipur, Kuki, Naga, Meiteis, we are all enemies. But enemies should come together for a common cause, for mutual benefit. The same implication I want to put up here in our town also. Ikli sapi mama itang uzong chu tunia hi outside interference outside akuna thil tampium theja chu boina hi tampium thei ti hi in tunin Manipur kiti gam hi abulin kan seitain coin Manipur who first coined the term Manipur omdan chu, and who the hell gave us in this land called Manipur, and how? Our question should be how, why, what? I'm not trying to provoke you guys that but really is but then today Manipur kiti gam administration, state administration what should I don't ask what the country or the thing you can get from, but ask yourself what you can contribute to the society can contribute to in the previous session to till chom saving kasai bonga to Berlin Wall Ukraine Russia twice in Maimal lang to total state related dan hin Dr. Thatang session achun lunglurum takatu theoretical implication to I class 10 12 BA MNN simple conflict resolution peace and conflict resolution settlement kiti nan sim thodu na lain aman bookish understanding a theoretical part also hoisel in present I bol pin hoisel ngai na now I hope your take away from this session would really shape you to a new you na chichuhin na lain local issue I say wala chun azo kay masang ding pa banga chu wide ranging social issues imasang wa na lain chuchampur khopum protected forest omin dampi reserve forest omin. But is the government following the procedure? There are many procedural lapses. And tunia hi akiman papan Facebook WhatsApp thu imo se sewa thing khol mal chaung numai tele numai ka sin monai point numai chapang ho pasal chapang ho sim thing khol mal chati tek namo man manjing imo man tau chona hachi value hoi meu si mang hi in tunia ka social media uses ethic pa jong hi ha tain ila samveti ka heno ka sei do no min mi kan in thil khat sei chu to among chu Dr. Thatang DGP pa to IG pa bon additional DGP pa bon refugee tiu chona foreigner tu alo Dr. Thatang foreigner ne ka tia le hijing de ham kati na pon he thima ka sei dan chu kin ama foreigner he ka ti ja chu hijing de ham hello chona ala tunia hichlai room apare chido ko na he peace universal fact chupem tele conflict of interest. Any issue to conflict of interest this has to do with our identity, our aspiration, our grievances, incidents happening na tabong mong incident nito wa experiences hichozo sichuhin hila cho sichu rebuild hin ding chu tunihin izat sai jong lewan chucham pumang chu it's already in the healing process patnalam pang chu imano tawve ti akimuthein. And I'm truly honored and encouraged to witness youth coming forward, raising such crucial questions to our land resource personals and panelists here today. Chutachun hungin tin iga agyalal hin saidi tampiu mihin a Manipur issue elole Chusampur district issue chiwa tabang ho issue ho hin touch tunia United NGOs Mission Manipur te chunga ki pana wise win chichung chona Good Samaritan Foundation le other partner NGOs ho zo siong keen interest na lo wa chitabang social issue hin mun khana chun ka sen tu petai din mun pau hin yau sakin sei ben lang as a social activist. Any cookie or tonsing or whoever, amin ban wa hu poppy tahimin is ipi time net ma ka sei pa we were painted ito min image pau he mobile nu khum wa pain hu cho. So what do we do now? What is the crux of the issue? Ale thing no hung tu got kinu ala civil society ho chun thing no kathulo wa na tu lo de kiti cho ala civil society langa thing ha langa kani le bolwin a social leader ho win thing no ka tu ko la kham kirwin am hoi pura well organized civil society hon jong popi cultivation a support e boy ti cho om dan ka ti pa he outside view pa chu in a larger perspective a chu hichi din muna chu mu ala hichilaya ta chu e ho hi ipithia alienated sideline hung ke bolwa hichi tabang condition a chu yum ai hin he ho za chu mi osin angam ta pau chun azola kan setan state head CM khan in refugee ti thewa le midang ho so ti di chu beisa hin la we are fighting all these odds at this juncture as it chun tunia he set your house in order kitimbonga chu buina za di pizza za jong le hilaya practical class ahung jaw the tunia hung jaw theo si ham phan hi ve katinomin episinam tele a reality pa chu discussable in a way out to hichi heti an na pa chu discuss ji wa chu na ham phau ve katinomin hoi sela na ningai na naw le namo to le wang he point hichi tabang conflict resolution ele peace education kiti ho hi apuya puimo iche naw gam hen lang ai ma mi mala dia jong pe het na ke be na he ti pa chu hin tin chitabong program hung ki gon kin a jong le lunglu tan hung jaw du ka kin na hin la ye tune moderator hina chu kan sai khilam kan sai wal jam ai lo le panelist ho to ki to lo helam kana kan sai do kha jong de hi in but ni ki ngai team do he ti to kan sai han lang for the hi chi zo le hin vote of thanks pu mang boy ho kip GSF in 19 to the closing prayer ding in pu LC thangani ki gong le phante. And for the last I want to put this quote: injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Thank you.
Paumin tuni program hungki gunda topic rethinking and questioning the future of Manipur. Kiti to gun ki gun noya individual lagi team hi in organization level hi in hong pan hong la zo si chunga masapenin ki pathu kahin save so le tuni ni khuar resource person elo le facilitator ai pan piu Dr. T Hang Singh hi in so le Sri Nubu Kisor amania konin thuman tam ta ho izawin amani thu sei kiu chu thu chom hitale mi pi hon response pi pau hi organizing bol hoding lol hinna lin ta in akilangin hiji chon no ho zo si chunga ki pa thu ka hin sei chule mabana hitabang program hung ki gon ting jong le lunggel le tha senga panhung lakit chi dingin avelin team na ka hin nei ka ke pa e
ki khan na taw ne hung nei pe le ki pawment
topic to discussion kafet le kat sei di ji ja jong ka hi en la ka sei no ma so bora jingen ale thum nai ni yo le kabyak ka belu van tung sanga om pa pathian hingle siang tho tu ni kalamet het lo pi in here ya how to goodwill sa how to te na tu lai buai na hun paisa a buai na te khong en to a kamabua na le tulel kahin khwa le kamaba no kahin khwa wa bang sile kilem na ki to na te na dei da na ki vai hom na te om thei ding yam chi ngai to na in ya seminar asam na wa ka batel thei wa ko leng ama sai na mi mal takin leng to pa na to ki pa thu ka hon ge na wai teng ba na hi program lo ching taka abula ki pan buai na bang ma om lawa non zot sak zia ki leng ki pa thu ka hon ge na hi wai teng ba na resource person te leng ama mo puang na chiat sem ke thei ding na dam na le hunoi te na piak zia ki leng ki pa thu ka hon ge na hi wana heu tu te leng hei bang hun hoi taka mi pi te on makai theiwa meeting te on bol pi thei zia ko leng tu pa thu ka hon tun hi tua kamaba no hunong pai to zel ding te a to pa nang ma hon ging ta te na dan dei le zui ding le tu manga oma lung muang le ki to a khosa diam ding anon dei te ka hi zia ko na mi tam pi te se than chu zo na se tan tha na thili thei na in hon zo go pet ma zia ka khovel hi chabuai hi wai zakin yai goodwill te na nang ba dei dan pansan a society hile katak sahin khau hile ka khalam hin khau spiritual life hitale bangkim bol hoi thei om khak le chi lamet na to hi bang program asai teu hi to pa tu ni a ka hun jana tengoleng sakkel gen hito le hon ngai damin la wana gen hoi gen dik kha kom le leng kala ko thil phatu am ding om thei kha le leng to pa nang man hon vual joli la kala ko sep khia ka oma ga swang ngai ding na hon pan pi le chin ka hon nge na hi wai teng bana hiai bang program dang apoi mo le leng nei thei zel ding na heu tu te nang man ki tu pi la dam na le long sim siang tho salam pil na siang tho khalam pil na siang tho te pia illa hu si banga kanam u buai tak mai kinak kisel na ki muda na ki huat na state sunga vai hom lian te tan pha to pa lung sim pingi ching lo tak nei ka hi nawa yai te teng bang sile top san thei ding ka hi wa tua sanga gen tam ngai zo hia a hi kele nang ma thili thei na ma mi hing te lung tanga hiai bang te hong koi mang ding in leng ka hon nge na hi hu chi banga poi mo a hin tu tua bang tu ba na leng hiai bang organization athu pi jo sem a hoi jo sema on organization dingun organizer te makai te goodwill makai te mang ki thu pi ding in leng na pan pi na ka hon ngen hi ka hon ngen no pu atama to pa himale ka pil na ka chin na chin ke ya ka get khel ka gen khul om thei himale ka poi mo teu bang leng hon ngen bukim zo ke ma le nang thei na hi ziakin a bang poi mo te khem pe nang man hon pia a tu ne kan sep na teu hi ga so adinga voran zol sak ngei dingin honi ta si sam tan si sanon le kon nam tu jesu christ minin na pan pi na ngen kong thum hi amen